They feed you that fake cheese on top, so-called vegan cheese. It would just have been healthy to give you some, so just serve you some sugar mixed with some kind of oil. It's just oil that's been treated in a way to make it solidify. Just give you a donut. What does it matter if it's vegan or not? That was the frustration, right? Because it's vegan. Who cares? The studies show that high glycemic carbohydrates like pizza and white bread is just as damaging to your cardiovascular, just damage to your heart and to your cancer and to dementia as if you were eating cheese or steak or barbecue or anything else. It's all the same garbage. And 2 servings a week of commercial baked goods, like a croissant or pizza, doubles your risk of depression. You had the 1 serving last night. All you need is 1 more serving and you're there. 1 in 5 Americans have mental illness. Mental illness? Are people talking about this? Are they talking about the growth of mental illness caused by commercial baked goods and fast foods? Or they're just thinking it's like a Prozac deficiency? You go to a doctor or a psychiatrist or physician, let's get people diagnosed early so we can get them on drugs and prevent mental illness. We have people committing suicide all the time, every minute. There was a kid who just hung themselves in the bathroom in my son's high school just last week. Junk food ruins the brain and causes depression, major depression. It's not. Nutrition, lack of nutrition of the brain causes the brain to malfunction. Why would you think you develop diabetes and you would develop heart disease and cancer and all these illnesses, but it's not going to affect your brain? It's not going to damage the brain, just the rest of your body? It stops at the neck. The neck up is like protected? What kind of ridiculous nonsense is this? We know that people are eating themselves into mental illness. We know that sugar destroys the brain. And we know that commercial baked goods and these fast foods are linked to depression in a dose-dependent manner. I said 2 servings a week increases the risk by 51%. A dose-dependent manner means as you go from 2 servings to 3 servings to 4 servings to 5 servings, it goes up accordingly, starting at 51%. Most Americans eventually develop these things, and right now we have a tremendous explosion of mental illness and also dementia in this country that starts out with these fast foods. The brain is under attack, and it dummies you down. It doesn't just cause mental illness. It makes you less intelligent, makes you less creative, makes you less able to concentrate. You have learning disabilities, you have attention disorder, and you're not as smart. So we're talking here that episodic high glucose damages the brain. And what gives the episodic high glucose? What's the flood of glucose into the brain? What are you eating to cause the spike of glucose in the bloodstream? Bagel, pizza, white bread, same as sugar, no difference. You might as well just consume a cube of sugar if you can eat that crap. Any kind of sugar, even maple syrup and honey, agave nectar. Your only source of sweets should be sugar that's contained within natural foods like fruit. There's no free sugar. It's all bound to fiber, so it's absorbed slowly and doesn't spike the bloodstream, and it's associated with phytochemicals that ease its entry. And when you're eating a nutritarian diet, then your sugar doesn't enter the bloodstream quickly. Let me say that one more time. A nutritarian diet feeds the biofilm, feeds the bacteria in the gut, and thickens the biofilm. The biofilm is a coating of bacteria that line the villi, retarding the absorption of sugar or glucose through the villi. So when you eat these 2 cooked foods, or these 2 raw foods and these 2 cooked foods, they synergistically combine to fuel the growth of bacteria better than any probiotic possibly could, because when you eat the right foods, the right bacteria become adherent. They take up permanent residence in your gut. When you take a probiotic, it goes right through you into the toilet bowl. You get a couple of good bacteria maybe hang out there, but when you eat the 2 cooked foods and the 2 raw foods on a regular basis, then you have people living there. How much bacteria live in the gut? 10 times the amount of bacteria in your gut than cells in the whole rest of your body. And these bacteria have an important function that communicate with the brain and your blood cells, and they make you thin, and they prevent the absorption of glucose, and they utilize energy and utilize glucose so it doesn't get absorbed. So what are these 2 foods and these 2 raw foods and these 2 cooked foods I'm talking about here? I didn't tell you. So let's do the two raw foods first. What are the two raw foods you're supposed to eat every day to promote both of the beneficial bacteria? What's two raw foods? Green vegetables, and what's the other one? No, onions. The two raw foods are with the most effect on bacteria. Berries do promote good bacteria, of course, but with the most powerful effect on the biofilm to prevent glycemic rush are scallions, onions, and raw green vegetables. And the two cooked foods, okay, you got the raw foods, right? Mushrooms and beans. Remember I told you a few minutes ago that beans have the highest amount of resistant starch? Resistant starch aren't broken down by enzymes, they're broken by digestive enzymes. It's called resistant starch because it's resistant to enzymatic degradation. So it's not digested by enzymes, it's digested by bacteria. If it's digested by bacteria, it's the fuel, it's the food for the bacteria. When you eat beans, the reason why you can not produce so much gas when you eat beans is because you eat beans all the time. If you're a regular bean eater, your body has more of the bacteria that digest the indigestible cellulose and the resistant starch in beans, so it doesn't produce as much gas, unfortunately. You don't have more fun with the gas. What I'm saying right now is that you may have some indigestion from occasionally eating beans. The way you get rid of that is eating beans every day. Then you won't have indigestion anymore from eating them because you eat them all the time. And when you're regularly consuming beans, then you thicken the biofilm so that when you have your mango or your oatmeal in the morning, the glycemic effect of the mango or the oatmeal are dramatically reduced because you ate those four foods and you have a thickened biofilm. Did you follow that? The glycemic load of that breakfast was dramatically lowered because you ate those other foods that give you a healthy biofilm. So what we're saying here now is that a nutritarian diet, we're absorbing glucose into the bloodstream, maybe the same amount of glucose, but it comes in slowly. It's inhibited, and we get the amount we need, and if we don't, and the digestive tract will burn more of it if you don't need it. The digestive tract becomes your friend. It keeps you at the perfect weight. If you eat too much or too little, nothing's going to change because your body has the right cellular structure, the right bacteria, the right mechanisms to keep your homeodynamic system continually working perfectly. When you eat right, your body works right. The brain continually needs a supply of antioxidants. The muscle tissues can make their own can get rid of free radicals on their own from the antioxidant response element in the cell. There's an ARE that keeps free radicals in check as part of the cellular machinery. But the brain doesn't have the ARE. The brain needs a continual and ongoing supply of phytonutrients to prevent loss of brain function. We need those colorful nutrients in the berries and the greens. And of course, the sugar and the glucose is associated with poor school performance, hyperactivity, attention deficits, lower concentration, poor school performance, and lower intelligence. Parents will bring their kids donuts, donut holes, and junk food to the soccer games, to the baseball practice. It's amazing. And then some of you guys will let it happen. No courage, no fight. Just don't want to ruffle any feathers, right? When you're not ruffling feathers, you're losing the opportunity to save lives. Don't participate in that. Don't bring the cocaine along with it to the party, even if you're not going to use it yourself. Why would you bring cocaine to the party? Just to look good? You know, no self-esteem. You need other people to tell you to get your self-esteem from? The point I'm making right now, a healthy person doesn't need the approval of other people for their own self-worth. It comes from inside because they know they're doing good for other people. Your self-esteem comes from your ability. It doesn't matter how others see you, it's how you see them. Your self-esteem comes from your ability to care for others, not how they care for you. You're not looking to look good so they look at you favorably. You want to be able to look at other people to help favorably. That's how you feel good about yourself. You want to be able to love. You want to be able to care. You want to be able to emote. You want to be able to feel. You want to be able to have a life with meaning. Why am I telling you this? So you can be more courageous. You can bring a healthy dish to a party and not be afraid to speak in a kind and loving way and express why you're not eating the foods and not have to hide your healthy eating. People are afraid. They're afraid to be different. Or you let other people poison Like my daughters, as kids, would already tell their friends not to eat that stuff. Okay, sometimes we'd say, maybe calm it down a little bit. They're not asking you for their advice, They'll come to you. You've set a good example. They'll start asking you questions. And my kids have always been seen as like experts by their friends, you know what I mean? And they ask them questions and stuff. And it's amazing how many other children they've affected and they're healthier because of them. So it's the same thing. You don't need a doctor's degree or anything, You all can get these superpowers I'm talking about here, right? The superpowers are what's more important in life than the ability, the power to be useful to other people in a way that's really good, that's really helpful. And right now we have a population of people that are sickly committing suicide with food, that are terribly suffering, and you're learning the power to have a positive effect on people. Utilize your superpowers. Hone the superpowers. Make them better. Practice them. Be able to articulate it better. Be able to give it with an art in a loving fashion where people seeing it coming at kindness, not as an attack. Not as a criticism, be good at what you do. Be able to really understand these advances in nutritional science so you can radiate out like a ray of light to be useful to other people. They say put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Nobody's going to listen to you if you're not in good health yourself, if you haven't taken care of yourself. But then the next step is to, better than winning the Olympics, is being able to have that satisfaction that's ongoing your whole life from having that power to have a positive effect on other people through your knowledge and through your kindness and through your caring. And that comes from, don't get yourself mixed up into it. It's not helpful to you. That's like heroin. Looking for your own glorification is like heroin. You're going to feel good about yourself from you being able to help others. Don't be afraid of how other people see it. Now, we talked about food addiction already, right? That food addiction there's two parts of food addiction. There's the high you get when you imbibe in cocaine or processed foods or calorically concentrated, highly palatable foods. When you eat fast foods or processed foods or soda, chips, potato chips, you get that high and you feel really good while you're doing it just for a couple of minutes. And then when you try to stop doing it, you feel pain and discomfort. The pain and discomfort from addiction overwhelms the feeling good part. Mostly addictions make people feel ill and they can't stop them. Most addicts don't get tremendous, incredible, sensational feelings they love so much, and that's why they're an addict. They're an addict because they don't like the pain they get when they try to stop it. The high is not that great. It's the pain that's so bad that you want to avoid. And most Americans are so sickly, they feel a lot of pain when they're not digesting food. When they try to stop eating junk food, they feel too much pain. They can't stop because they feel too much. It's too uncomfortable to stop eating junk food. There's two phases to the digestive cycle. There's the anabolic phase and the catabolic phase. The anabolic phase is the phase while you're eating and digesting. The word anabolic means to build. That's when the body is taking in calories and putting the calories from the food and turning them into you. You're taking the outside world and you're turning it into part of you. You're putting calories in your body. That's the anabolic phase. When your body is taking calories and breaking down food and putting it onto you, it can't heal and detoxify and remove toxins and remove poisons at the same time. It can do some, but it can't do it very effectively. It mostly heals and detoxifies and repairs during the catabolic phase after digestion has finished. Did you follow that? Your body works in phases. It takes in nutrients, it stores them, it utilizes them, and then you get hungry again and you take in nutrients again. That's the way it should be. You have to have an anabolic phase and a catabolic phase. And which phase does most healing take place? And which phase does your body heal and detoxify? The catabolic phase, when you're not eating and not digesting. And the longer you live in the catabolic phase, the longer you live. You got that? The longer you're not eating food, you want to shorten your lifespan? Eat frequently. Eat all day long. Best thing you can do to live a shorter lifespan. Just keep eating. Like most Americans. They can't help themselves to keep eating. Because if they try to stop eating, if they try to enter the catabolic phase, because of all the junk they consume, and the more overweight and the more junk you eat and the more unhealthy your diet, the more you feel shaky and weak and spasm and growling and irritable and headachy and weakness and fatigue. the more you feel hypoglycemic, the more you feel like crap when you don't constantly eat food. The more you need to eat less food, the more you feel lousy when you try to eat less food. Did you follow that one? Sure. The more you need to eat less food, the more lousy you're going to feel when you try to eat less food. The more toxic you are, the worse your diet, the more you're overeating, the more you're eating fast food, the more you're eating junk food, the worse it's going to feel when you try to stop eating those foods or try to eat less food. People don't succeed on diets because they try to eat less food or eat healthier, and they feel so lousy they go back to eating their old diet. I can tell you to breathe. I see you breathing there at 14 breaths a minute. But how about breathing just 12 breaths a minute instead? You'll be gasping for air. You're not going to be comfortable breathing 12 breaths a minute. You're not going to be comfortable eating the right amount of calories. Because you can't be comfortable eating the right amount of calories if your diet is nutritionally deficient. Too much toxic release during the catabolic phase. What happens is, you see how the glucose curve goes up during the anabolic phase? You're digesting food, you're getting calories in the bloodstream. The glucose curve goes up in the bloodstream. It comes back down again when you finish digesting the food. And that begins the beginning of the catabolic phase. At the beginning of the catabolic phase, you're not digesting, that's when detoxification is enhanced and people start feeling weak and fatigued. They start feeling weak and fatigued right when digestion ended. They want to eat again right away. They didn't even burn any of the calories they just ate, but they want to eat again. They're continually eating. They got to eat or they feel shaky or weak or so-called hypoglycemic. Keep the tuna fish coming in. Keep it coming in so they don't feel the detox. But see, if you were a healthy diet, if you were eating the right diet, if your body was not highly toxic, when you entered the catabolic phase, what would you feel? Nothing. You'd feel nothing. Just be living. You wouldn't feel any different. You wouldn't even know you entered the catabolic phase. And then, in the catabolic phase, the phase of repair, you would burn off the calories you ate and you stored. You wouldn't put more calories into the body before you burned off and utilized what you just ate. You don't go to the gas station, fill up your car with gas, and then drive it around the block, one block, and try to put another tank full in. The gas will just run out of the tank and go right on the pavement. But with our body, we're elastic. We can fill ourselves up. We didn't burn it at all. We didn't utilize it. Fill it up again. Didn't utilize that. Fill it up again. It's amazing how most Americans, they're such addicts that they work and they live, and then they live to make money so they can stimulate themselves with drugs or food or alcohol. They just live for stimulation, for their addictions. Their addictions control their life. And the addictions take over the brain. They live for their addictions. They've lost their ability to be creative. They've lost their ability to intelligently solve the problems in their life. They just hunker down in their addiction and survive from one high to the next.